Alright, so today we're installing a Erg Decal from SignsRX. So just got these, it's 4 pieces. So we've got one for each side of the main body. Then we have one that wraps around the seat post here, and then one that ultimately is going to wrap around this post up front. So I'm going to start with the one back here. As always, you want to make sure that you wipe everything down. We've had this Erg for about a year now. It's been in the gym, it's getting beat around, got chalk on it, dust on it, all that good stuff. So make sure you get that wiped off, cleaned off. That way the decal has a nice, solid, smooth surface to stick to. Before I go to start putting this on, I'm going to trim a little bit. So I've got some backing up here. Just going to trim this down a little bit better. That way I can see my top edge really well when I go to line this up. And then I'm also going to cut out this area just so I can slide it over the pedal and it's not going to be in the way when I go to line it everything up again. All these little holes where these screws are going to go through, make sure they're in the right spot. So basically what I'm looking at on my top edge is there's this cutout right here on the main body. I want to make sure that that's lined up with that top edge. So looking at that, and then how does that line up with the rest of my top? Looks fairly good. And then I'm going to look at my opening here around the pedal, make sure I'm kind of centered there. I'm going to feel around, make sure that those screws are going to fall into that spot as well. Okay, seems pretty good. Alright, now to actually put this down, I'm going to start in the middle and then I'm going to work both sides independently. So I'm going to flip it over. I got this backing here. I'm going to pull out a piece of backing. Better see here. I'm going to pull out a piece of backing up here. That way, I'm going to leave this as kind of still connected as is. That way it doesn't come all loose and like flop around and stick to itself. I'm going to cut out just a little piece of the backing right here. We'll use that to get it kind of stuck in place. And then we'll lay down right and left independently from that. So just going to tear right there. So I've got my decal ready. I'll get it lined back up the way that it was. And then I'm going to press this on and then I'll work the two sides independent of that. So again, I'm going to line up this edge on the back, kind of following the top. I want to make sure that my gap on the top is staying nice and consistent. I'm loosely just going to tack that in. So I'm checking my screw's going to be good there. That one's going to be fine. That one should be okay. Just double checking everything's going to fall where it needs to. Not going to end up having to take it off, so feel pretty good about it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this section that's already pulled, get it stuck down nice. Got my squeegee somewhere. There it is. I'm going to press that in. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit this left side. So I'm going to fold this back, take the remaining bit of the backing off. That. Now I'm going to work from the middle and push the decal this way, making sure that I don't have any air bubbles, any creases, anything like that. I'm just keeping light tension on with this hand and just letting the decal kind of fall where it wants to. It stays nice and straight. Feeling pretty good about it so far. It looks like it's staying pretty even on the top. My bottom looks pretty decent. All my screws are in the holes. Alright, so next side. We'll pull the backing. I'm only going to pull this back just past the pedal relief for right now. Right about there. So I'll get this part down and then I'll take the rest of it with it. Just because I don't want this to get all loose, where these two can kind of like potentially come together and stick to each other. Should be a real pain. So again, I got my squeegee. I'm going to press, work in this direction. All my screws have hit nice spots. Looks like I'm a little off center on that one. That's okay. Stayed nice and straight. No bubbles. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to flip the bike around. We'll go through that. Same process though. Just a bigger piece on the other side because we don't have this fan on the way. Alright, And that's that. Pretty happy with that. Looks fairly even. It didn't hit all the screws exactly in the middle, right? But for the most part, they're in a really good spot, still easily accessible. Next up, we have the necks. So we have one. We have a skinnier one, which is a little bit taller, and one that's a little bit thicker, or wider, I should say, and it's a little bit shorter. So this one's going to go around the seat. So it's going to cover 3 sides of the seat post. This one is going to go on this front post, and it's going to wrap the front and then around to the side. All right, so I'm going to start it up as high as I can. I don't care as much about it down here, and I don't want to run down into that, right? So I want to make sure that I'm staying on the post. I'm not getting down onto this piece. We're going to start it up high, get this close to my edge, and then I'm just going to fold it around and see kind of where it falls. Kind of in the way there. So I know it's not, by this, I know it's not going to go all the way to the very, very corner or wrap around a little bit. It's going to be just shy of that. So I know I want to start it just shy of that corner and then wrap it around, and it should end up just shy of this one, right? It's going to cover all the way from here around to there. So on our layout, this gradient, this color is going to be at the top, and then it fades down to black. Just make sure you check your proof so you're not putting it on upside down. For me, I'm just going to peel this all off. And then I'm going to watch. Hopefully my head doesn't block the camera here. I'm going to check, and I'm going to get this as straight as I can. And what I'm looking at is the gap from the decal to this corner. I want it to be consistent the whole length, right? If I know if it gets wider at the bottom, then I'm putting it on crooked. If it gets shorter at the bottom, then I'm putting it this way, too crooked. So I feel pretty good about that. Took it all the way to the top. Took it almost to that corner. I'm going to take my squeegee and go ahead and press that on. Another way that you can tell if it's straight or not is looking at this top. Is my top staying straight? If it's dropping one way or the other, then we'll know that that decal is running one way or the other as well. So if this top is nice and lined up, like I can see it's right on this plastic gasket, it stays pretty straight across, so I know that the decal is sitting pretty straight. Now the fun part, right? We've got the pressed in on that side. Now we're going to start to make that corner. So I'm going to hold in the middle. I'm going to start to pull it back this way, and I'm just going to work a little section at a time in that corner. This looks pretty good. Stayed pretty consistent on our top there. I would say our gap on this side is pretty similar to what it is on this side. So overall, looks pretty decent. Now we'll flip it around and we'll do the seat post, which is even more fun because it's got 2 corners that you got to go around. Our seat post. Decal's going to start back here in this corner, and it's going to wrap all the way around the front and then back around this side. Again, we're going to shoot for consistency from my gap here on this back edge to this edge. And what you can see is there's this weld right here where that seat post is welded to this back part of the frame. I want to make sure you got these little cutouts in the decal at the bottom. I want to make sure that that kind of lines up with that weld and I'm not pushing too far over. All right, so same process as we did with the handlebar post. I'm going to lay my decal up here, looking at my top to be nice and consistent, and then down here at the bottom, paying attention that I don't get over that weld too much because I want to leave myself enough that it's going to wrap all the way around and be a nice consistent piece. It looks like I need to drop my top just a little bit. Come down here. It's worth taking your time to get it started. Get it in a nice and straight spot. That way I'm not chasing it as I go around, right? It doesn't start, as I go around the corner, it doesn't start to go up and get in the way. All right, so we'll press that on, and then we'll start to make our corner the same way that we did over there. I'm gonna pull the decal this way, just a little bit of tension with this. I'm not really yanking on it. Again, you could stretch it and actually make it harder on yourself. So just enough tension for that decal to lay flat as I make that corner. And I'm gonna press it on. once I clear the corner, then I can finish much quicker. Hit that. So my top's staying pretty good, pretty consistent across. We'll come around, make this other corner. Same thing, pulling from the middle, folding it around, and then make this, press this corner in, and then finish it off. All right, and that's it. 4 decals for the bike erg. Pretty simple process. It looks great. People are gonna love it. Thanks SignsRX. Thanks Rob for all you guys do. Appreciate it.